Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special episode. I'm super excited for shooting this. My name is Brandon Cassidy. I'm the host here at the NHL Fan Show. Alongside me is Thomas West, and today we have a very special guest for you guys.
The following is a presentation of the Fan Media Network.
Yes, we do. Olivia Giardetti from the Ryerson women's hockey team is going to be joining us, and this is a really cool thing for Brandon and I because we call a lot of these games, and now we are doing an episode with a fellow sport media student, but also on the Ryerson women's hockey team, Olivia Giardetti. Olivia, we appreciate you being on. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you, and thank you for the introduction. I'm excited to get diving deep into some NWHL playoffs, so very excited to be here.
Yes, we're excited to have you as well. Before we get into the NWHL, I want to tee up a project that you're working on for your practicum in Ryerson Sport Media, where you are the marketing business coordinator for Rise magazine. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and your role with the project?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience to start off with, but we had the difficult task of creating a magazine when there was 6 very determined students that were placed all throughout the province. So that was very difficult. All virtual stuff, meetings, Zooms, Zoom interviews. It was a little challenging, but we knew that we wanted to focus on diversity, especially with this year and all the crazy storylines that have been going through the news. So we've wanted to focus on uplifting the voices of the BIPOC community, especially with their stories through sports. So the magazine features professional athletes, coaches, local teams, industry professionals in the sport media world. And it was honestly so amazing to make, and it was super rewarding, especially because we were actually doing something that makes a difference. So, yeah.
I actually bought a copy of Rise magazine, and I had an absolute joy of a time reading it. Olivia, you actually wrote an article in here, brilliantly written, by the way, about your captain and fellow teammate, Krishanda Green, on the Ryerson University women's hockey team. If you wouldn't mind just kind of sharing about that article, what it meant to you, as well as what it's been like on the Ryerson women's hockey team with the season essentially shut down.
Yeah. Crash, first of all, is an amazing person. She makes writing very easy, you could say. She has accomplished outstanding things. She was the first Black captain of the OUA ever. So it took me a little bit of research to figure that out. And I actually asked her when we were having our interview, and I said, do you know if you are? She's like, I have no idea. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to look and we'll see what happens. So lots of emails sent to lots of coaches. But it was extremely rewarding for me to let her know that she was, because I thought it was an outstanding accomplishment and it should be showcased. But yeah, hockey definitely has taken a backseat in my life, specifically this year, focusing on school and work. I look at the NWHL players that have been playing, and I think about how lucky they are, because there's lots of athletes, not just women's hockey, there's lots of athletes throughout the OUA and U Sports that haven't been able to play the sport they love this year. So I do really hope that the girls in the NWHL know how lucky that they are.
Yeah, fantastic story. And I can imagine that writing that article and all that must have been a really cool experience. And yeah, anyone who hasn't checked it out should definitely go check out the article that we're talking about right now.
RiseMagazine.net, Olivia, is that?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
Website.
We'll have a graphic.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, let's get into the NWHL right now. It's another little bubble. It's going to be 2 days in Lake Placid. Olivia, as a women's hockey player yourself, you probably wish you could be getting out on the ice right now, but what are your thoughts on this bubble that we're going into, and how hard is it going to be for these players to just get thrown into hockey action after not even playing for a whole month?
Yeah. The first thing I want to say is that I hope the bubble works out better than last time. We all know how that one worked out. So let's hope that they have it right this time. I can't imagine what it was like for the athletes that were in that bubble, the stress that must have been on their mind, not being able to completely block out all the outside noise and just focus on playing the game of hockey, because COVID has taken over the world and going to play a game is not the same anymore. So all the distractions that they have, just even simple things like showing up to the rink. You can't just walk into the rink anymore. You need to do temperature checks, make sure you're wearing a mask, and make sure a full team can't even be in the same dressing room. Yeah. So there's lots of things that have made playing the game of hockey different. So I do think that there's going to be challenges for them, although at least they have now done it once, so they know what to expect. So I do think that it will be some very good hockey that we will get to see.
Yeah, and assuming that this bubble does work out, we're going to see 4 teams compete for the Isabel Cup. The Isabel Cup, and let's get into some of these teams right now, starting off with the Boston Pride. So this is a team that probably should have won the Isabel Cup last year, considering they went 23-1 in the regular season, but this year they're just 4-3, and it's not a bad record, but it's a much worse record than they were last year. And looking at the players on this team, it's an extremely strong team. So this is definitely a team that's probably looking to make a run from the 4 seed, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I agree. Like you said, 3-4 record. One something that's, I guess you could say, impressive for their team standpoint is the fact that they have had one extra game than most teams. They've played 7 games, whereas the next highest was 6. But that was just, again, with the bubble and teams dropping out. It's just the way that it worked out. They had an impressive 22 goals. So they lead the league for goals. And they also have the best plus-minus ratio as well. So I agree with you. I think they're going to come out, and I think they're going to give the Toronto Six a run for their money.
Speaking of the Toronto Six, I mean, this is a team in their inaugural season, nipping at the heels of the Boston Pride with 21 goals to their name. So let's be honest, the Toronto Six has been a team of surprises for most of the NWHL, having come out and caught a lot of teams off guard, Olivia.
Yes. Yeah, I think that the Toronto Six definitely surprised a lot of people. I think one thing that was pretty outstanding was the fact that they have received huge amounts of support from the Toronto community. For example, like TSN posting their stuff, their videos of them dancing to Taylor Swift. I know that a lot of people out there have probably seen that. But yeah, no, I think that they're going to come in very, very hot. They are, I'll say it now, even though I'm probably supposed to be saying it at the end, but they are my pick. They are my pick.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Digit Murphy dancing, I think.
Yeah.
The Murphy dance. Now, between these two teams, although they haven't had a hugely long history, you'd think it was a rivalry for the ages between these two with how competitive they both are. Yeah.
These are 2 teams that definitely look like there's something brewing between them. Obviously, the Toronto Six are just in their inaugural season in NWHL. But to come out of the gates and beat probably one of the best teams, and by the way, after the Boston Pride lost to the Toronto Six, it was they looked like a different team, and the Toronto Six looked like a different team as well. So this is the perfect 2 teams to be playing each other in a first-round matchup. And yeah, I'm definitely really looking forward to watching this matchup. Olivia, I want to get some insight from you. Who exactly on the Toronto Six are you looking forward to watching, and what players do you think will have a big impact in this series?
I think that anybody that was asked that question, if they didn't say Michaela Grant-Mentis, then they would be silly. She is completely destroying the league, one would say. She's an amazing player, but every single one of her goals or her points is always highlight reel. She is currently tied in the league for points, and when you watch her, you're not surprised by that because she can skate circles around whoever she wants to. Another player, though, that I want to mention also is Taylor Woods. She has 4 goals in 6 games from the bubble. And although this is her first season with the NWHL, she previously played for Markham Thunder before that league folded in May of 2019. So I do expect her to come out with some grit, and she'll probably be getting some more points. So I have my eye on her as well.
Now, one player that we haven't mentioned quite yet, although Olivia, you have quite a bit of experience dealing with her, is Tatum Claremont of U Sports, was actually signed by the Toronto 6. What's it like to play against her? I mean, like, she seemed like a very fierce competitor.
Yeah, Tatum Claremont is definitely one of our names to watch whenever we had to play Waterloo. She is an outstanding player. She is speedy. Her hands are outstanding. I'm pretty sure one of her goals was posted to TSN of her scoring on us, behind the legs, toe drag up top. It was something crazy. But yeah, she's outstanding, and she scored in the bubble as well, which was great. So I think that she's going to be bringing some good skill and some good hands.
Speaking of the black and yellow, moving on to the Boston Pride, is there anybody on the Boston Pride that has the potential to reverse the effects of the Toronto 6, that would reverse the fortunes?
Yeah, so Boston actually has 4 out of the top 5 point getters right now. Their first line is outstanding, but not only is it their forwards that are doing outstanding things, their defense is the one that's tied with Michaela Grant-Mentis at the top. Although she doesn't have any goals yet, Kaylee Fracken is leading with 9 assists. So I do think that she's going to be coming and hopefully scoring this weekend. I want her to score just for the sake that she's probably looking at that number thinking 9 assists. How do I not have 1 goal? But I do think that she's going to be coming out hot, and that first line is going to be giving Toronto 6 a lot of trouble. So we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, and it's incredible as well. There's been, I think, a couple tip-ins that she probably wished were her goal that she got credited for. But 9 assists in 7 games is an unbelievable number. And a lot of those as well coming on the power play. So she's the absolute quarterback of the power play. And we're talking about the matchup against the Toronto 6. The Toronto 6 are, more of a team where they like to spread out the talent up and down the lines. I think, Tatum Claremont, who we were just talking about, played most of the season on the 4th line. But she still has had a massive effect on the Toronto 6 and Michaela Grant-Mentis on the top line as well. It'll be really interesting to see how the Toronto 6 shut down the top line of the Boston Pride with Moutinho, Dempsey, and Brand. And that's just going to be the key to it for the Toronto 6. I think the Toronto 6 are probably a more well-rounded team right now. But the Boston Pride have that top line that is, no question, the best in the league.
I mean, Olivia, now going into this kind of a situation, having been off for a month, are the team meetings exciting? Are they energizing? Are they kind of like, oh, just let me get on the ice? Like, what's going on in these players? I'm sure you're feeling very similar traits as they are.
Yeah, Zoom meetings nonstop is not ideal. Definitely, I know that, and I said it before, they are very lucky that they get to play. And I do think that they know that. There's a lot of girls, especially like Tatum Claremont, for example, all her friends at Waterloo are sitting at home not doing anything. And they're probably watching her and saying to her, listen, like, go out there, like, work your butt off, because I haven't played hockey in over a year and I miss it like crazy. So I do think that that's something that both teams will be having more fire up their butt. Because they know that they're very fortunate to be playing.
We're looking forward to a fierce matchup between the Boston Pride and the Toronto 6. Come on back for part 2 as we break down the Connecticut Whale and the Minnesota Whitecaps next time in part 2 of the NWHL Playoffs here on NHL Fan Media.
To host a fan show or appear as a fan on a fan show, simply create a profile on Fan Media's iOS app or website. Select your teams and make a short intro video on your phone. Show hosts, reporters, former players, and superfans can use our Get Verified feature and make an intro video as well, and our mobile newsroom staff will reach out.